Hey, you're tuning into another deep dive.
Great to be back.
If you're tackling those postgraduate English entrance exams and maybe the Day 36 Part 2 vocabulary is on your list,
Then you're in the right place.
definitely stick with us. We're about to explore a really interesting bunch of words today.
Yeah, covering everything from legal stuff to words for things that are just a bit odd.
Exactly. And hey, if you find this helpful, please give us a quick like, maybe a follow. It really helps us keep these vocabulary deep dives coming.
It does. And today, like you said, we're not just, reading definitions out loud.
No way.
We want to see these words in action. Look at example sentences, even real exam questions.
Yeah, see how they actually get used.
The goal is really to build a richer understanding, right, in context.
Which is key for vocabulary and for boosting that reading comprehension overall.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so let's dive in. First up, some words around law, court, accusing, punishing, that whole area. Let's start with convict. We've got an example. He was convicted of fraud. So what does that mean exactly if someone is convicted?
Well, basically, if someone's convicted, it means a court, officially, has found them guilty of a crime.
Ah, okay, so it's official.
Yeah, it's like the final legal stamp saying, yep, they did it based on the evidence.
Got it.
And just to connect it, the noun form is conviction. That's the actual act of finding someone guilty or the state of being convicted. It's a serious thing in law.
Right, makes sense. Okay, next, verdict. The example is, the panel will give its final verdict tomorrow. What's this verdict they're waiting on?
The verdict, that's the formal decision made at the end of a trial.
The final decision.
Exactly. If there's a jury, it's their decision. Sometimes it might be a judge or a panel of judges. It's the official answer, basically.
Okay.
And look at the second example. In the case of an adverse verdict, the company could lose millions. That really shows you the weight of it.
Yeah, the consequences. An adverse verdict meaning a negative one.
Precisely. A verdict against them. Big financial implications there.
Definitely shows the high stakes. Okay, moving to sue, example. Employees could sue their employers if they violate the law. So what are the employees doing when they sue?
To sue someone is, it's initiating a formal legal case against them, taking them to court.
Okay.
It's how people or companies trying to get a legal solution if they think they've been wronged or harmed somehow.
Right. And that brings us neatly to court. We've got two examples here. They took their landlord to court for breaking the contract, and the court ruled in favor of her claim. So this court, what is it?
In these sentences, court is the actual place, the institution where these legal cases happen.
The building or the system?
Well, both, really. It's the formal setting where disputes get resolved by law, usually with the judge presiding.
Okay.
And yeah, court has other meanings, like a tennis court, but here we're focused on the legal one.
Gotcha. And who makes the decisions there? Sometimes we hear about a jury, like in this real exam question. The jury agrees that the nature of the game, not the helmet, was the reason for the athlete's injury. Who makes up this jury?
Good question. The jury is typically a group of regular citizens. They're chosen to listen to all the evidence during a trial.
Ordinary people.
Yeah. And their job is to figure out the facts and deliver that verdict we just talked about, guilty or not guilty, or who's liable in a civil case.
Interesting.
It's a really core part of the legal system in many places, kind of like the community making the decision. And related to all this, we have the adjective judicial.
Ah, right.
Like in the U.S. judicial system.
Right.
It just means anything related to courts, judges, or how justice is administered.
Okay, judicial system. Makes sense. Now, judgment and judge. Example 1. He refused to make a judgment about the situation. And example 2. Appeals court judges overturned the previous ruling. How do these relate?
Well, judgment, with a G in the middle, sometimes spelled without it, too, in that first sentence. It's more general. It's like an opinion or an assessment you make.
Just your personal view.
Kind of, yeah. But in a legal context, a judgment is the official ruling or decision of the court.
Ah, okay.
And the judge is the person, the official, who runs the court, manages things, and makes those legal rulings or guides the jury. So in the second sentence, the appeals court judges are the legal bigwigs who look at an earlier decision and changed it.
So the judge delivers the legal judgment. Got it. Now, justice, justify, and chief justice. An exam question uses justice. It provides opportunities to analyze such ideas as justice, democracy, and freedom. What's justice really getting at here?
Justice, in this sense, is a big concept. It's about fairness, moral rightness, making sure laws are upheld and people get treated fairly.
It is, okay.
Then you have justify, like Her success had justified the faith her teachers had put in her. To justify something means to show good reasons for it, to prove it was right or reasonable.
Like giving a defense for it.
Exactly. Or look at this exam question. How can the train operators possibly justify yet another increase to rail passenger fares?
Right.
It's asking what reasons make this fair or necessary.
Right. They need to back it up.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Chief Justice? That's simply the top judge on a particular court, like the head of the Supreme Court.
Okay. That clears those up. Next one is adjust. We have, she will gradually adjust to her new role, and salaries are adjusted for inflation. So adjust is about changing things to fit.
That's exactly it. To adjust is to modify or change something so it works better in a new situation or meets a new standard. It's all about adaptation.
Adapting, right. Then penalty and penalize. First example, there will be a penalty for late payment of bills.
Classic example.
And an exam question. The current state of affairs may have been encouraged, though not justified, by the lack of legal penalty for data leakage. So a penalty is like a punishment.
Yes, exactly. A penalty is a punishment or some negative consequence you face for breaking a rule, a law, or even an agreement like paying bills late.
And the exam question suggests not having one can be a problem.
Right. It implies that without a penalty, there's less reason not to do something, like leak data, even if it's not right. And penalize is just the verb form.
The action.
Yeah. Like in the other exam question, children engage in criminal behavior in that they were not sufficiently penalized for previous misdeeds.
Yeah.
It means they weren't punished enough before.
Okay, penalize is to impose the penalty. Got it. Now this group, execute, executive, execution, executor, and CEO. Lots here.
Yeah, all related to carrying things out.
First, execute. Examples. I swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and they drew up and executed a plan. Sounds like doing something, putting it into action.
Spot on. To execute in these contexts means to carry out, to implement, to make a plan or duty happen.
Okay.
Then executive. This be a noun. It might mean someone high up in a company, a senior executive.
Like a manager.
The high-level manager, yeah. Or it can refer to the part of government that enforces laws, like executive power belongs to the president.
Right, like the executive branch.
Exactly. And then quickly, execution is the act of carrying something out that could be a plan or, unfortunately, a legal sentence like capital punishment. An executor is someone named in a will to carry out his instructions.
Ah, for a will.
Yes. And CEO, well, everyone knows that one, Chief Executive Officer, the top boss in a company, responsible for executing the company's strategy.
Okay, that connects them all. Moving to crime and criminal. Examples. DNA data is extremely useful in fighting serious crime, and I told him to pass the information to the police so they could catch the criminals. These seem pretty straightforward.
They are, generally. A crime is an illegal act, something punishable by law.
Okay.
And a criminal is either the person who commits the crime, noun, or an adjective describing something related to crime, like criminal behavior.
Got it. Next, discriminate and discrimination. Examples. Police dogs can discriminate between different smells. But also, it is illegal to discriminate on the basis of race, sex, national origin, or age. So discriminate can mean different things.
It really can. That's a key point. It can just mean to tell the difference between things, like the dogs and smells, that's neutral.
Just distinguishing.
Right. But more often, especially in social contexts, it has that negative meaning, treating people unfairly because they belong to a certain group.
And that's discrimination.
Exactly. Discrimination is that act of unfair treatment or prejudice.
Okay, important distinction. And condemn. You see, we condemn these arrests. That sounds strong.
It is. To condemn is to express very strong disapproval, to criticize something severely, often on moral ground.
Like denouncing it.
Precisely.
Then surrender. Examples. The hijackers eventually surrendered themselves to the police, and they have been ordered to surrender their passports. Giving up.
Yeah, essentially. To surrender means to give yourself up to authority, like the police, or to hand something over, often because you're forced to or have no choice.
Okay. And victim. Several countries have pledged millions of dollars to help the victims of the tsunami, someone hurt or harmed.
Exactly. A victim is someone who has suffered harm, loss, or injury because of a crime, an accident, a disaster, etc.
Right. Then sacrifice. Examples. No sacrifice of quality, and they sacrifice their lives. It means giving up something valuable.
Yes. A sacrifice involves giving up something important or valued, often for what's seen as a greater good or purpose. It can be the act or the thing given up.
Okay, last one in this section. Guilty. And guilt. We see I had a guilty conscience, and she may be guilty of murder. Well, plus that exam question about guilt being a later developing emotion tied to social norms. So guilty means you did wrong, or you feel like you did.
It can be both. Legally, guilty means you committed the crime.
Found guilty by the court.
Right. But it also describes that feeling, that guilty conscience, the remorse or responsibility you feel for doing something wrong. And guilt, the noun, as the question notes, is quite complex. It's tied to our understanding of rules and morality.
Fascinating how emotions link to social understanding. Okay, wow, that was a deep dive into the legal side.
Definitely covered a lot there.
Let's switch gears a bit. Now, words around being innocent. We've got naive and innocent. The example contrasts them. If you believe what he said, you're really naive.
Right.
Versus she was found innocent of any crime, or seeing a teenager as an innocent young child, what's the key difference? Naive versus innocent.
That's a great contrast. Naive implies a lack of worldliness, maybe poor judgment, because you haven't experienced much. You're easily fooled, perhaps.
Lacking street smarts.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas innocent, well, legally, it means not guilty of a crime.
The opposite of convicted.
Exactly. But more broadly, it suggests purity, a lack of experience with bad things, harm, or evil, like the child example. So naive is more about lack of wisdom. Innocent is more about lack of guilt or corruption.
That's a really clear way to put it. Helpful. Okay, now let's look at words with a scent in them.
Ah, yes, the scent words.
Incentive, decent, indecent, percentage, percent, starting with incentive. Examples. This gives pupils a strong incentive to read in English, and that exam question about incentive-based ways for environmental choices. An incentive is like a motivator.
Precisely. An incentive is something that encourages you or motivates you to do something. A reason, a reward, something that pushes you in a certain direction.
Makes sense. Then decent, and its opposite, indecent. We have a job with decent pay, and the exam question about millennials needing a decent degree. So decent means
Oh, yeah.
acceptable.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Decent means satisfactory, respectable, of an acceptable standard. Reasonably good.
Not amazing, but good enough.
Often, yes. And indecent, of course, is the opposite. Improper, offensive, not meeting standards of morality or propriety.
Okay, and the last pair in this group. Percentage and percent. Examples. A high percentage of the female staff and a 21% increase in profits. They seem almost the same.
They are very, very close. Percentage is the noun referring to a rate or proportion out of 100.
Like what percentage?
Right. And percent, often shown with a percent sign, is typically used with the number 21%. Functionally, in everyday use. Pretty much interchangeable.
Got it. Percentage and percent, basically the same idea. All right, final category. Words describing things that are a bit quirky or strange.
The fun ones.
Yeah. We have eccentric, odd, odds, weird, queer, and exotic. Let's start with eccentric. Examples. His behavior grew increasingly eccentric, and the eccentric old lady with cats. This definitely paints a picture.
It does. Eccentric describes someone or something that's unconventional, a bit strange, but often in a harmless or even charming way. Deviating from the norm, but not necessarily negatively.
Kind of quirky.
Quirky is a good word for it, yeah.
Exactly. Odd. After a while, she noticed something quite odd. This just means strange, unusual.
Exactly. Odd is a pretty general term for anything strange, unusual, unexpected, something that doesn't quite fit.
Simple enough. The notes also mention odds.
Ah, right. Different meaning. Odds usually refers to probability, the chances of something happening, and the phrase be at odds means to disagree or be in conflict.
Okay, good to know. Now, weird examples. She's a really weird girl, and the exam question about social advances being seen as weird, this feels maybe stronger than odd.
I think so too. That's a good observation. Weird often implies strangeness that's also a bit unsettling or uncanny, maybe even slightly uncomfortable.
More negative.
It can be, yeah. The exam question points to that social awkwardness, the fear of being seen as weird. It suggests it's generally undesirable.
Right. Okay, how about queer examples? Queer noises upstairs and a queer feeling. Seems similar to odd and weird again.
In these examples, yes. Queer historically just meant odd or strange.
Yeah.
It's an older usage.
But
well, it's crucial to know that queer has been reclaimed by the LGBTQ+ community as an umbrella term and term of identity, so its meaning is very context-dependent now. In those examples, it means strange, but be aware of its other significant meaning.
okay, good point. Context is key there. Finally, exotic example. She travels to all kinds of exotic locations. This sounds different, exciting.
Exactly. Exotic describes something strikingly different, often because it comes from a distant, foreign place. It usually has positive connotations, intriguing, glamorous, unusual in an appealing way.
Like tropical islands or faraway markets.
Precisely those kinds of things.
Wow, okay. We have genuinely covered so much ground today.
We really have.
From the nitty-gritty of law and justice terms
Convict, verdict, sue, penalty.
to innocence versus naivete.
That important distinction.
Through the scent words like incentive and decent.
Percentage, percent.
And finishing with all those ways to say something's a bit strained, eccentric, odd, weird, exotic.
It's quite a range.
And really understanding these nuances, how the words differ slightly, that's so crucial for improving reading comprehension and just building a stronger vocabulary for those exams.
Absolutely. And I think the key takeaway, as we saw, is context. Don't just learn definitions in a list.
Right.
Look at how they're used. Those example sentences, the exam questions, they show you the word in its natural habitat, so to speak.
Yeah, see the surrounding words, the situation.
That's how you really grasp the meaning. Try to notice these words when you're reading. Think about why that specific word was chosen over a similar one.
Exactly. So we really hope you'll revisit these examples. Maybe pause, think about them. You could even try making your own sentences.
That's a great way to practice.
And if anything clicked for you today, like an aha moment, or if you still have questions,
Please let us know.
yeah, drop a comment or send a message. That active engagement, thinking it through yourself, that's what makes the learning stick.
Couldn't agree more. Active learning is key.
Well, thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into Day 36, Part 2.
Hope you found it useful.